Today, we are diving straight into the concept of tenancy in common for the national portion of the real estate exam. This is the most common form of concurrent ownership, where two or more people hold title to property together. On your exam, the most important thing to remember is that tenancy in common is the default form of ownership if the deed does not specify another type. If a test question describes two people buying a property who are not married and it does not mention survivorship, you should immediately think of tenancy in common. The defining characteristic here is that each owner holds an undivided interest in the property. An undivided interest means you own a fraction of the whole bundle of rights. You do not own a specific room or a specific acre. You own a percentage of every single atom of that property. This is why the unity of possession is so vital. Even if you own only 1%, you have the legal right to occupy the property just as much as the 99% owner. The exam loves to ask if a majority owner can kick out a minority owner, and the answer is no, because of this unity of possession. You cannot fence off the back half of the yard just because you own 50% and your partner owns the other 50%, since both of you have the right to stand anywhere on the land. The exam will frequently test you on the differences between tenancy in common and joint tenancy. In a tenancy in common, owners can hold unequal shares. This is a major distinction. One person could own 80% while the other owns 20%. Additionally, owners can acquire their interests at different times through different deeds. You might buy a property today and sell half of your interest to a friend next year, and that friend would become a tenant in common with you. The most significant legal aspect to remember for the test is the lack of the right of survivorship. When a tenant in common dies, their interest does not automatically pass to the surviving owners. Instead, the interest is part of the deceased person's estate and passes to their heirs or beneficiaries according to their will or state law. This is why tenancy in common is often described as an inheritable estate. If the exam asks what happens when owner A dies and they were tenants in common with owner B, the answer will always involve the interest of owner A going to their heirs through probate. A common exam trap involves the concept of the unity of possession. While tenancy in common only requires the unity of possession, joint tenancy requires 4 unities including time, title, interest, and possession. If a scenario describes a situation where the owners have different percentages of ownership, it cannot be a joint tenancy and must be tenancy in common. Another trick the exam uses is to ask about how an owner can dispose of their share. As a tenant in common, you have the right to sell, mortgage, or transfer your individual interest without the consent of the other owners. This often surprises students who think you need permission from the co-owners to sell your part. You do not. If you want out, you can sell your 30% share to a stranger, and that stranger becomes the new tenant in common. If the co-owners cannot agree on how to use the property, or if one wants to sell and the others do not, any owner can file a partition suit in court. This is a legal action to force the sale of the property or the physical division of the land. To keep this straight in your head during the pressure of the exam, use the mnemonic TIC, which stands for Truly Inheritable Choice. The letter I in TIC reminds you that the interest is inheritable, and the C reminds you that it is the common way to hold title when you want to choose how to pass your wealth to your family rather than your business partners. Whenever you see a question about concurrent ownership, look for keywords like unequal shares or heirs. If those words appear, you are looking at tenancy in common. Remember that the only unity required is possession, and the hallmark of this ownership is that the interest passes through the estate. If you keep these distinctions in mind, you will easily navigate any questions regarding concurrent ownership types on the national exam.